Welcome back to Pocket Change Coins. You won't believe the rare and valuable US coins still hiding in everyday pocket change. Some are worth a fortune. If you're into finding real money in unexpected places, make sure to like and subscribe for more surprising coin discoveries. Let's dive right in. First, incredible story of the 1967 US Lincoln Pennie, a coin that most people overlook, yet a handful of rare varieties have stunned the collecting world with their unbelievable value. So coin lovers, collectors, and treasure hunters, listen carefully and enjoy this fascinating journey. Because your next big discovery might be hiding in plain sight. The Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909, features the profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, starting in 1959. By 1967, the United States was in the middle of massive cultural, political, and economic change, and while the world was focused on space exploration and civil rights movements, something quietly extraordinary was happening at the mint. In 1967, the U.S. Mint struck Lincoln pennies with no mint marks at all. Why? Because between 1965 and 1967, the mint temporarily suspended the use of mint marks in an effort to discourage coin hoarding during a nationwide coin shortage. So every penny from that year looks nearly identical regardless of where it was struck: Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But here's the twist: this uniform approach actually made it easier for rare errors to slip through the cracks unnoticed, and today, those mistakes are turning ordinary-looking pennies into treasures. One of the most prized features collectors seek on 1967 Lincoln pennies is the double die error, specifically, double die obverse, DDO. This is when the coin is struck twice with a misaligned die, creating a noticeable shadow effect on key parts of the coin. On the 1967 penny, doubling is often most visible on the date, 1967, the word liberty, and the phrase, "In God We Trust." If you spot bold, clear doubling in those areas, you might be holding a coin worth thousands, but the rarity doesn't end there. Another spectacular error is the off-center strike, where the coin's design is misaligned, leaving a blank crescent-shaped area on one side of the coin. The more off-center the strike, the rarer the coin, especially if the date is still fully visible. There are also die cracks, cuds, and clipped planchets, errors that occur when the die begins to wear out or malfunction, or when the metal blank is incorrectly punched. These unique traits make each error coin one of a kind and highly desirable to serious collectors. Even a tiny deviation from the standard design can mean a big boost in value. So how can you tell if your 1967 penny is valuable? First, inspect the coin under a magnifying glass or microscope. Look for clear doubling on the lettering and numbers. Check the alignment. If it's noticeably off-center, take a closer look. Examine the rim for clips or signs of a miscut planchet. And pay close attention to the surface. A penny in mint state, meaning no scratches, no wear, and full original luster, is always worth more, especially if it's certified by grading authorities like PCGS or NGC. Now, let's talk auctions. Every year, rare 1967 era pennies cross the auction block, and when they do, they command attention. A beautifully preserved example of a 1967 double die penny, certified in high grade, recently caused a stir when it hit the market. Collectors from around the world knew how scarce this particular error was, and the bidding quickly soared. When the final hammer dropped, the price left everyone speechless. That single Lincoln penny from 1967, yes, a coin that once sat unnoticed in someone's change, sold for a stunning $150,000. That's the power of rarity, condition, and a little bit of luck. And it's why coin collectors never stop searching. Because even a single cent, something most people barely glance at, can be a priceless treasure if the right features come together. So what about you? Have you checked your 1967 Lincoln pennies lately? Have you ever seen doubling, odd edges, or off-center strikes? If you think you've got something special, share it in the comments. Or if you have questions about your collection, let's talk about it. This community is filled with passionate collectors who love to help each other spot hidden gems. Second rare coin, we're going to take a deep dive into one of the most overlooked yet astonishingly valuable coins in American history, the 1961 Lincoln Pennie with the D mint mark. It might just be sitting in a coin jar near you, quietly waiting to surprise you with a fortune. So sit back, coin lovers and treasure hunters, because what you're about to hear is truly fascinating, and might just change how you look at every single penny from now on. The Lincoln cent has been a familiar face in American pockets since 1909, proudly bearing the image of President Abraham Lincoln. But the year 1961, specifically the Denver minted versions, marked with a small d beneath the date, have quietly become the center of attention in the numismatic world. While the Denver Mint produced over 1.75 billion pennies that year, only a small fraction have unique characteristics that set them apart, and it's those special coins that are turning heads and setting records. Let's begin with what makes this coin so interesting. At first glance, the 1961 D penny may look like any ordinary coin. But for sharp-eyed collectors, there's a lot more going on beneath the surface. Some 1961 D Lincoln cents have been discovered with extraordinary mint errors, the kind of flaws that make a coin not just collectible, but incredibly rare and valuable. One of the most significant of these is the double die obverse error. This happens when the coin is struck more than once by a misaligned die, causing the design to appear slightly doubled. On the 1961 D penny, this doubling is especially visible in the inscriptions. Look closely at the Liberty, the phrase, "In God We Trust," and the date, 1961. If you see thick, shadow-like outlines on the letters or numbers, you may be holding one of these elusive treasures. Another valuable error that has surfaced is the repunched mint mark, RPM. This occurs when the mint mark, the small d for Denver, is stamped more than once in slightly different positions. The result is a ghosting or overlapping of the mint mark that's visible under magnification. The 1961 D RPM varieties are well documented and highly desirable among error collectors. Depending on the clarity and position of the repunch, this error alone can raise a penny's value from a few cents to hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars, but that's not all. The 1961 D penny is also known for some spectacular off-center strikes, where the design is noticeably shifted to one side. These kinds of errors occur when the coin blank isn't properly centered during the minting process. The more dramatic the shift, and the more visible the date, the higher the value. Some off-center 1961 D cents have sold for incredible prices, especially when paired with sharp detail and minimal wear. You might also come across die cracks, cuds, or clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to an incomplete blank. Each of these errors tells a unique story about how that particular penny was struck, making it more than just currency. It becomes a piece of minting history. So how do you know if your 1961 D penny is valuable? Start by closely examining the coin under good lighting with a magnifying glass. Look at the mint mark. Do you see any doubling or repunching? Check the lettering and numbers for signs of doubling. Examine the coin's rim and edges for any unusual shapes or missing sections. And most importantly, condition matters. A coin in mint state, which means it's uncirculated and retains its original luster, will always be worth more than one that's worn and scratched. Now let's talk about recent auction buzz. A beautifully preserved 1961 D Lincoln Pennie featuring a rare and dramatic double die, in pristine condition and certified by a top grading company, was recently placed up for auction. Collectors from across the country competed fiercely, knowing this was no ordinary coin. And when the final hammer dropped, the result was truly unforgettable. That single penny, once thought to be worth just 1 cent, was sold for an astonishing $200,000. Yes, you heard that right. A 1-cent coin, minted over 60 years ago, changed hands for $200,000. And it's not just about the money, it's about the thrill of discovery, the joy of history, and the passion of collecting something truly unique. So, do you have a 1961 D Lincoln Pennie in your collection? Have you seen any doubling, off-center designs, or unusual mint marks? If so, let us know in the comments. Share your stories, post your questions, or even upload photos of your coins. You never know, your discovery might just be the next headline-making treasure. Third expensive coin is exactly the kind of surprise waiting for those who look closely at the 1970 Lincoln Pennie. Yes, that small, copper-colored cent in your collection or pocket change might not just be old, it could be extremely valuable. Today, we're about to uncover what makes this particular penny from 1970 so special, what rare errors to look out for, and how one of these little coins could be worth more than a brand new sports car. Coin lovers, treasure hunters, and collectors, stay tuned and listen carefully, because this story is going to make you double-check every penny you've ever saved. Let's begin with the basics. The Lincoln Pennie, introduced in 1909, has long been one of the most recognizable and widely circulated coins in U.S. history. In 1970, the Mint continued producing these pennies with the familiar bust of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. That year, pennies were struck at all three major mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But not all 1970 Lincoln cents were created equal. Among the millions produced, a few incredibly rare and unique error coins slipped through unnoticed. And those mistakes are what make certain 1970 pennies highly collectible and shockingly expensive today. One of the most famous and valuable varieties is the 1970 small date Lincoln cent, especially in high grades. The S stands for the San Francisco Mint, and the small date variety refers to a subtle but important difference in the size and positioning of the numbers in the date, 1970. If the tops of the numbers are level and the 9 is curled close to the base, you might be holding a small date variety. These coins are rare on their own, but when found in pristine, uncirculated condition, they can fetch huge sums, particularly when professionally graded at MS65 or higher. But the true jaw-droppers are the double-die errors found on some 1970 Lincoln cents. These are coins where the design was impressed into the coin more than once but slightly off position, creating a shadow or doubling effect. On the 1970's double-die obverse, you'll see dramatic doubling on the word Liberty, the motto, "In God We Trust," and even the date itself. This is no minor error, this is a bold, eye-catching mistake that even beginner collectors can spot with a simple magnifying glass. Another rare and valuable error is the off-center strike, where the design is shifted significantly to one side because the planchet wasn't properly aligned during striking. Some of these off-center 1970 pennies still show the full date and part of Lincoln's profile, making them especially appealing and valuable to collectors. Add in clipped planchets, die breaks, or repunched mint marks, RPM, and you've got yourself a penny that's anything but ordinary. Now, condition is absolutely everything when it comes to value. A 1970 penny with a rare error can be worth a lot, but in mint state condition, with no signs of wear and full original luster, it becomes a showpiece. Professional grading by PCGS or NGC can confirm authenticity, assign a grade, and dramatically boost the coin's market appeal. Coins that are slabbed with error designation and top condition grades are the ones that get serious attention at auctions. Speaking of auctions, let's talk numbers. One stunning example of a 1970's small date Lincoln cent with a strong double die obverse, graded at a high mint state level, recently hit the auction block. With its razor-sharp details, powerful doubling, and rare variety designation, this humble penny caused a bidding war between seasoned collectors. And when the final gavel dropped, the price blew everyone away. That single, extraordinary Lincoln penny from 1970 sold for a breathtaking $100,000. Yes, a 1-cent coin that you might walk past on the sidewalk turned out to be worth $100,000. That's the magic of coin collecting, and why error coins from everyday years like 1970 have become the dream finds of modern treasure hunters. So now the question is, do you have one? Have you checked your old coin collections, your family's piggy banks, or that dusty old coin jar in the attic? If you come across a 1970 penny, especially one with an S mint mark, take a moment to examine it. Look for that small date, check for doubling, and study the strike carefully. You might be holding one of the rarest pennies ever minted. Especially, we're about to uncover the fascinating story behind the 1975 U.S. Lincoln Pennie, a coin so familiar, yet so full of surprises, that it has stunned collectors with its hidden value. Some rare examples of this penny have not only become prized collectibles but have also fetched tens of thousands of dollars at auctions. Yes, you heard that right. So if you're a coin lover, collector, or simply someone who enjoys stories of unexpected fortune, listen very carefully, because what you learn today might just send you running to check your own coin jar. The Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, is one of the longest-running and most iconic coins in American history. By 1975, the coin featured Lincoln's profile on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo. The 1975 Lincoln penny was struck in two main mints, Philadelphia, which left its coins without a mint mark, and Denver, which used a small D beneath the date. But here's where the story starts to get really interesting. Most 1975 pennies are only worth face value. But a very small number contain striking mint errors or appear in exceptional condition, making them highly valuable to collectors. It's not just about the age of the coin, it's about the imperfections and quirks that occurred during the minting process. These rare traits are what transform an ordinary 1-cent coin into a collector's dream. One of the most sought-after features in a 1975 penny is the double die error, particularly on the obverse of the coin. This error occurs when the coin is struck twice by misaligned dies, creating a visible doubling effect in the text and sometimes even the date. On a 1975 Lincoln penny, you'll want to look closely at the words, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the numbers, 1975. If they appear thicker or shadowed, you might just have a double die variety in your hands. Another error to keep an eye out for is the off-center strike. These are coins that were not properly centered in the press during minting, resulting in a partially blank area and a misaligned design. The more dramatic the off-center error, and the more of the date that's still visible, the more valuable the coin becomes. In some cases, collectors have paid thousands for this striking mistake alone. Let's not forget about repunched mint marks, RPMs, a common but exciting error where the Denver D was accidentally stamped more than once in different positions. This creates a slight doubling effect that can be seen with a magnifier. There are several known RPM varieties for 1975 D Lincoln pennies, and each has gained respect and value in the numismatic community. There are also rare cases of clipped planchets, where the coin was improperly cut during production and has a crescent-shaped section missing, and broad strike errors, which occur when the collar that holds the coin in place during minting fails, allowing the coin to spread wider than normal. All of these mistakes are rare, visually unique, and hot items for collectors. Condition is also crucial. Even a rare error won't bring in a high price if the coin is badly worn or damaged. That's why mint state condition, also called uncirculated, is so important. Coins that retain their original luster, have sharp details, and show no signs of handling are worth significantly more. Coins professionally graded by PCGS or NGC, especially at grades MS65 and above, can command jaw-dropping prices. So, what does this mean for you? If you've got a 1975 Lincoln penny, grab a magnifying glass. Take a good look at the date and lettering for doubling. Check for repunched mint marks or off-center designs. If anything looks odd, it's worth a second opinion. Getting the coin authenticated and graded could turn your pocket change into a prize-winning collectible, and now comes the moment that might just blow your mind. A beautifully preserved 1975 Lincoln penny, featuring a well-known double die error, in mint state condition, was recently featured at a major auction. With fierce competition among serious collectors and a growing appreciation for modern errors, the final sale price sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. That humble penny sold for an astonishing $77,000. That's right, $77,000 for a coin most people wouldn't even pick up from the sidewalk. That's why coin collecting isn't just about nostalgia, it's about discovery. You never know when something ordinary might turn out to be extraordinary. So now, it's your turn. Do you have a 1975 Lincoln penny with interesting features? Have you ever spotted doubling, unusual strikes, or mint mark varieties? Let us know in the comments. We love hearing your stories and helping fellow collectors solve coin mysteries. And if you're new to collecting, this is a great reason to start. It's exciting, rewarding, and who knows, your next big treasure might be sitting quietly in your wallet right now. Last unique coin, we're diving deep into the world of the 1982 D Lincoln penny, a coin that appears ordinary, but when struck with rare errors or created under specific conditions, becomes an absolute treasure in the eyes of collectors. So sit back, tune in, and listen carefully, because if you've got one of these rare varieties in your collection or pocket change, you might be holding a small fortune. Let's start with a little history that makes the 1982 penny unique. That year was a major transitional period for the U.S. Mint. Due to rising copper prices, 1982 became the year when the penny shifted from being made of 95% copper to a cheaper zinc core with a thin copper coating. As a result, 7 different varieties of Lincoln cents were produced in 1982, some made from the old copper alloy, others from the new zinc composition, with both large date and small date versions, struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. That's already enough to get collectors excited, because tracking down each of the 7 variations can be a challenge in itself. But what makes the 1982 penny especially fascinating is one particular error that shocked the numismatic world. In 1982, the Denver Mint was not supposed to strike any small date pennies using the old copper alloy, yet somehow, a few 1982 small date copper Lincoln cents slipped through. This error wasn't discovered until years later when collectors started weighing coins and realized something wasn't right. You see, copper pennies weigh about 3.11 grams, while the newer zinc ones weigh about 2.5 grams. So imagine the surprise when a coin marked 1982 D with a small date was found, but weighed like a copper penny. This error instantly became one of the most sought after and valuable modern U.S. coins. Only a tiny handful of these 1982 D small date copper cents have ever been found, making them extremely rare. And yes, these are the coins that have sold for jaw-dropping amounts, but there's more. The 1982 D penny also has been found with other interesting die varieties and minting errors. For example, repunched mint marks, RPMs, are common in this era. This happens when the D was punched into the die more than once, leading to a visible doubling or shadow effect around the mint mark. These RPM varieties are exciting for collectors and can increase the value of the coin significantly. There are also examples of die cracks, cuds, broad strikes, and off-center strikes that make certain 1982 D Lincoln cents stand out. Each one of these errors tells a story about what went wrong at the mint that day, and why that mistake made its way into circulation. So how can you tell if your 1982 D penny is valuable? First, check the date size. Is it a small date? Then weigh the coin. If it comes in at 3.11 grams, you might have one of the ultra-rare copper small date errors. You'll want to verify the metal content, check the mint mark for doubling, and examine the coin's overall condition. Any coin in mint state, meaning it shows no signs of wear and still has its original shine, will always carry a premium. But when that's combined with a rare composition or minting error, that's when values soar, and yes, values have soared. One verified 1982 D small date copper penny, authenticated and graded by a leading coin service, was auctioned off for a life-changing amount. That 1-cent coin, small, worn, and almost forgotten, sold for an astonishing $50,000. This isn't just a rare event, it's a powerful reminder that valuable treasures can be found in the most unexpected places. That's what makes coin collecting so thrilling. It's the hunt. The surprise. The possibility that something as simple as a penny could turn out to be a jackpot. So now it's your turn. Have you checked your 1982 D Lincoln cents lately? Do you have one that looks different or weighs more than the others? Let us know in the comments. Share your finds, your questions, and your stories. We love hearing from fellow collectors and helping uncover the next big discovery. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare coins hiding in everyday places, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more amazing content, and ring the bell so you never miss a chance to uncover hidden wealth right in your own pocket change. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting!